Welcome. Today's lesson is going to be on solving number problems. As we discussed on Monday, we talked about solving systems using a word problem. So here we have a word problem in front of you, looking at your notes. The sum of two numbers is 10. We're going to stop at that sentence and create an equation. The sum of two numbers is 10. Well, that's simple enough. I know I'm going to be using two variables, and I know that their sum is 10. Continuing reading, we have 3 times the larger decreased by twice the smaller is 15. Find the numbers. Well, we're not sure what the larger is and what the smaller is, so you have to indicate by a let statement which one will be the larger and which one will be the smaller. And it really doesn't matter because it'll all work out in the end. So I'm going to write a let statement to let the reader know which of my two numbers is the larger and which is the smaller. So I'll let x equal the larger and my y be the smaller. And yes, this is needed. You need these let statements. So now let's write an equation based off of that next sentence. 3 times the larger. 3 times the larger decreased by twice the smaller. 2 times the smaller is 15. At this point, you really want to determine which method you should use to solve. And you can use any method you like, really. One will lend itself to solving it easier. I think in this situation I might solve it by elimination. So I'm going to choose the variable that I'm going to eliminate, and I guess I'll choose y, only because I have a positive and a negative. So here I will multiply through by a 2. And remember, we talked about this. Show your distribution. Do not try to squeeze in a negative. Adrian, not fun, and I cannot see your work. So let's go through, and that work will be right here. 2x plus 2y equaling 20. Don't forget to distribute all the way through to the end. Adding the two equations together, we now have my y's dropping out, adding my x's, solving for x is 7. I'll now need to find my y. And it just goes back to your algebra skills. Find your y. Using one of the original equations, I'm choosing x plus y equaling 10. My x is 7. Therefore, my y is 3. It doesn't say on here to check, but I would just do a quick check. Writing the original equation. This guarantees my answer is correct. Uh-oh. Sorry, 21. Three times 21 minus 6, and 15 equals 15. Check. All right, let's move on. Again, reading number 2, The sum of two numbers is 36. Your first sentence will contain your first equation. You know you're adding two numbers. X plus y equals 36. Your second sentence typically contains your second equation. Their difference is 24. At this point, you're going to be eliminating your y's. It's giving you 2x equaling 60, x equals 30, and you'll at this point find your y. And y looks like equals 6. I'm going to ask you to check that on your own. The point will be 36. All right, number 3, the sum of two numbers is 104. There is my first equation, giving me x plus y being 104. And the larger number is 1 less than twice the smaller. At this point, when we start describing our variables, we need a let statement. So I'm going to let x equal the larger number, and I'll let y be my smaller number. And I am just going to write that sentence, but look at what I have highlighted. I have the less than highlighted. And the reason why I have that highlighted is because we have to switch order when we see those words less than. So according to my let statement, I have the larger number being x, and it's 1 less than twice the smaller. So I am going to show you here that my larger number is x. So x is, what is the is? It's an equals. 1 less than, switch order, so my 1 will come after twice the smaller. My smaller is 2y. So 1 must come after the 2y. So now I have this equation, x equals 2y minus 1. Now, what method would you choose to solve this? It looks like substitution will work very nicely because I have x equaling this value. So I'm going to take this value of x and substitute it in wherever I see an x, which is right here. And now I'll solve for y. So now I have 2y minus 1 plus y equaling 104. Combining like terms, 2y plus y gives me 3y. It's a two-step problem, plus 1, and y equals 35. At this point, I want to find x, and I will use the easier of the two equations. I'll use my x plus y equaling 104. X plus 35 equals 104. And x equals, subtract 35 from that number, becomes a 9. That becomes a 14. 69. So my values, solution set is 6935, and I'd like you to take a moment and check that, see if it works out. Okay, so let's look to the next page, And I think you can do this one, the difference between two numbers. There is your first equation. Just be careful when you're setting up the second equation. You'll need a let statement here because it's talking about the larger and the smaller. And I think you can try number 5. And we'll do 6 together in class, okay? So I want you to try 4 and 5 on your own. If you need to stop this and pause it and go back to see how we set these up, please do so. Good luck.